Dobro večer. Good evening, dear friends. And very, very great greetings from Torox in Spain, where we had a 1 week spiritual retreat. And Sabio, my dear colleague, we have remained here a few more days to organize ourselves. I know most of you are used to me speaking in Croatian or Spanish language. But this time it is in English because, first of all, Sabio does not speak one of those.
Unfortunately, no, but I will learn.
How are you doing, Sabio?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for being here.
No.
And hello, everybody. Very nice to be here.
Um, as I am one of those crazy people who never prepare in advance too much, I didn't know if I'm creating stress for Savio, but he is a very, as well, spontaneous and improvising master.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's the way.
So for those of you who don't know us, my name is Ivan, and
My name is Sabio, Janiak. Yes.
I come originally with this body born in Croatia, and you?
My body was born in Poland originally.
Okay, so we have Central Eastern European people here. Um, I just want to remind everyone, if you are staying to the end, we will be giving you access to additional lessons. Just we want to keep your attention and like your mind maybe needs some reason to stay to the end. But before we continue, I wanted for all of you who might not be able to stay all the way with us um, to immediately receive something. And I know that this topic today about success or how to be successful immediately, how to be successful in where you are now, who you are now, um, how to experience success under conditions of life, of cities, of work, all of that is there. And most people deal with unreasonable, let's say, amount of feeling under pressure or under obligations and rushing around. Today, I had like a very strange situation that my next 2 weeks that were supposed to be in a certain way were completely tumbled over, and I will no longer be where I am. I will be on another continent, leaving tomorrow, and I could notice an enormous amount of pressure
Mm.
coming psychologically. But I don't like to suffer. So I did not let myself stay in the shit, as we would say it. Thank God I had another colleague master with me to help me go through. But the first thing I decided to do when I noticed that the pressure is building up from this enormous change and all the logistics I had to deal with was, okay, Ivan, remember always breath. Breath is the first. So, ah, and no matter how many times you need to do it now. Remember
Mm.
this. This is the biggest tool. You inhale. Ah.
Ah.
And then I put my hand on my heart and just to feel with my hand physical presence. And I feel my feet on the floor. The head might be going crazy. Eventually will calm down. Or at least you will have clarity to ask for help or to realize, oh, this is a big thing. I can't go on my own. So at least some level of balance of clarity when you are very, very disturbed. Um, do you have something to give to people that in case they will need to go and they don't or they don't like us, that we give them something to take?
Yes, that's was amazing that you mentioned the breath, and I would add the sensory input which we can apply straight away in stressful situation, and the healing and calm and safety is in our hands. So I would simply do this, starting applying the simple soft touch on our arms or hands like this, or even face this way with this breath. So we can kind of activate also the vagus nerve here. And this technique comes from psychosensory technique called havening techniques, which I'm a practitioner. So this is very, very powerful when we are staying for a while with this, because we immediately giving the signal to the brain, to our body, that we are safe, right? And this that would be something we can kind of applying the breath, what you just showed together, that would be very, very calming, I would say.
I did this afternoon. Actually, he was showing me yesterday when we were doing some little preparation, and today when I really needed it. For me, the best work this one here behind. I don't know. It was calming me down completely, like
Mm.
all the stress disappeared. Um, and this one I liked, or the legs as well, like the thighs.
Yes, the point here, we just need to calibrate for ourselves. So it's not nothing settled that we need to do this way. We just feel how we feel the best, the most relaxing. So is it this one, like washing the hands, or if it is it washing the face like that, touching ears as well, or is it this? Because this is behind this, there's a neuroscience and science. These areas of the body generate the strongest delta wave. So that's why immediately I did the experiments. I have the EEG, which I can track the brain activity. Really, that's how it works. When we do this, we're closing the circuit, the electric circuit on the body, in the body, and then we are closing the circuit, and then we immediately generate the delta wave, which brings us like a very calm state.
Hmm. This is. I know that it might sound very like simple, and is this really? But when you know that the creation made this body so perfectly, and I think that it provided the body with all the tools that it can deal with itself, and the electricity really that is at the surface of the skin, and the energy that goes out of the energy centers, uh, definitely are meant precisely for that. And if we do, as you say, move the hand, this
Yes.
electricity somehow works with the deeper systems inside.
Yes, it's the same like having mudras. So that's the same principle. There's a polarity on each side of the body. So this is plus, this is minus, this is minus, this is plus, this is plus, and this is minus. So literally, we're closing. This is not. This is science. This is like really you can measure with the meter, electric meter, micro voltage in the body. So that's how it works,
Okay.
and that's why it works very
Okay.
well.
Well, why do we feel confident we can be talking about success today? And it might be quite like a full of yourself idea that you can teach or transmit something. Of course, it's not possible in 1 hour to teach all the methods of success, be it financial or in love or in career or with family. There are so many facets of success that we can say. But just a little word on us, especially for those who do not know either of us. Um, uh, I have somehow been lucky in life that being born in a little town or city on the Croatian coast, quite a normal average family, growing up in average school, uh, doing everything normally like the people there, going through hardships, going through the war and all the things that we
mm,
have lived. Um, Somehow, I was able to start to think differently than the people there. And with this change in mindset or in thinking, there was something that provided me like a success mindset or ability to experience success, even if I went abroad and lived around the world in more than 40 countries visited. um, I still came back to where I'm from and decided, yes, success, I can live there. I don't have to be in exile. I don't have to be somewhere where I think success is. Success is in me. And this attitude, in a way, and the whole way of thinking gave me the ability to manage different companies, different NGOs. Some of them had millions of members. Um, to even be a president of a political party in Brussels about European Union. Um, and eventually to abandon most of my business career and to dedicate to working with people, to exhibiting my gifts or whatever was felt like innate or was felt me. So having in 4 countries my school of awareness and spiritual awakening with I don't know how many um, tens of thousands of people that have gone through the programs. I think I traveled more than 750,000 kilometers doing classes.
mm,
Uh, Somebody said that it's good that they didn't invent spaceships on Earth because it would be difficult to catch me around the galaxy, how much I travel. So uh, all of that, like experience, even though I'm young, still only 40 something, it was very compressed in little years, probably because of some memories of before or
mm,
talent that I
mm,
brought.
mm.
So I feel confident I can give this through this experience of life. And Sabio?
So I have a similar story in terms of where I'm from. I'm also from little town in Poland. No one knows about really, I think. And I moved to London in 2007, and also there, I mainly work as a musician composer, composing for internationally for different theaters, doing international work related to contemporary dance. And this also takes me a lot, like it gives me a lot of travel. And a part of that, this is my kind of, I don't even really um, do anything about this. This is just happening. That's the one, also one very interesting thing that, this thing that we can do things which we love and are born for. We those things doesn't they don't require friction in
Mm,
life. I know that's my experience that the less friction, the less trying, the more is happening. This is my case. So also, so this is also I've been in 85 countries, um, traveling, doing workshops, and the workshops that I'm gonna talk about soon, performing for thousands of people. Like Sydney Opera
Opera
House,
House.
this kind of places, and I always I'm like surprised, like, oh, we work together as well on some projects, so it's like that. This is amazing, and I would never even imagine if I try to imagine that I wanted something or I want something that I would kill the reality, which which takes me to completely different places, much
Mm.
bigger, much like unbelievable things. So, but music is just one thing. But and the another thing is I'm a therapist and a psychosensory therapist, and I do workshops and I work one-to-one with people helping with trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder. I do hypnotherapy as well, regressive hypnosis, and I'm super interested in this mental health and spirituality and how this all works together. And someone would say, "Oh, but you are the mainly musician." You know, music is a map of how to navigate this world. It's actually knowing the principles of musical principles is all that we need to know really to navigate smoothly.
Mm.
Understanding the vibration, understanding the resonance, understanding the music we make through our
Voice.
voices, right? We are understanding that we are an instrument, and this instrument is the creative tool. So this is my second kind of part of life where I work as a work with people, joining retreats, collaborating with another facilitators. So yeah, it's very fascinating, and yeah, seeing the results as
Good to
well.
have
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Well,
same.
I hope people will have more like chance to experience Sabio's work. I don't know if you're hearing the garden irrigation that just turned on. So there is
No,
sprinklers. No.
no,
Okay,
okay,
great.
great. Because we have a like constant noise now, like.
Um, well, water is emotions, so whatever is being cleared, let it be cleared now.
Mm, mm,
So now let's move on to the purpose of having this webinar, where we wanted to share our experience in short, giving three different segments on realizing that you, where you are, how you were created. I say, kako te Bog stvorio, we say in Croatian,
mm,
okay? Just as the God made you, with putting in you talents and passions and interests that actually reflect what is your path, what is your way. And I have seen that whenever I'm going uh, following some other interests
mm,
that are not my highest passion, that are not
mm,
my highest talent, I will still be successful because I'm quite stubborn and I know how to manipulate matter and energy.
mhm.
But eventually, life will stop me. It
Right.
will, I will either get sick or there will be some financial problem or something will stop me and I will not be able to continue that way because even though I'm good at it, that is not my highest state. That
Mm,
is not my highest passion. And this is where actually Sabio will later come in with teaching you how to say no to all the things that might come your way, but that they are not your highest way.
mm,
And it really took me a while to learn this. Um, so um, for me to experience success, even if I'm good at other things, um, is is one corporation has a very good motto how they operate. When they delegate which employee will do what, they say we are not gonna give the work to the guy who is good at something. We are gonna give to the one who is passionate about it,
mm,
who loves it.
mm, mm,
Because if you are good about it, but that is not your love, they don't want you to do it because eventually you will start to be very bad. You know,
mm,
you will get tired. You will not be this beautiful employee who is interested. So they have realized, and it's a big corporation. Uh, I think they have 200,000 employees. They always dedicate to the passionate one. What is your passion? That's what you will do. So for me, to realize that I can be successful right now with what I have and who I am, I needed to answer the three questions. And if you have subscribed to this webinar, and probably if you have taken the option to download three lessons, three lessons, you will see that the first lesson is teaching you who am I, what am I doing here, and where am I going? Now, when you're answering these questions, it's very important to understand from which point of view. They should always be in relation to what? Because who am I is such a big question. It can be ultimately who am I in absolute reality, but I want you to answer it in relation to what? So, for example, you want to be successful in your career or in your love life, or in your at home in your family. You need to say, who am I in relation to this person, to this situation, to this job, to this idea that I want to develop, like a vision, entrepreneurial business vision? Who am I in relation to this? And you might then discover that there will be two sides of it. One, who was I until now? This is really good to answer, because when you realize, for example, I love to give this to the parents. It's interesting for all of us who have young children in the home and they're growing up. And as they grow up, suddenly you become redundant because they don't longer need you at the level that they needed you when they were 2 or 1 or 10. It changes. So if you don't change yourself, you're like, who am I? Who was I in relation to this child until now? I was a guardian. I was somebody they depended on. I was a control freak. I was whatever you were. Who am I now? Who am I wanting to be in relation to this individual, this human being that I call my nephew, my son, my daughter? Okay? So the same you can do for your job. Who was I in relation to my job until today? Oh, was I a victim? Was I feeling weak and underpaid? Was I a complainer? Was I this unpassionate machine doing the job? Who am I choosing to be in relation to my job now? So when you do this question, who am I? It will somehow digest or lead you to understanding more who you want to be. Okay, but you need to know who you were so that you understand the blocks and where you got stuck, and then feeling, no, 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 I want to be this. This is what I'm choosing to be. And then, what am I doing here? Second question, what am I doing? It's a big question. And on the planet, or in the family, or in this company, or what am I doing here with my career, with my passion? So who am I in relation to my passion, to my talents? I have these talents. Am I using these talents? What am I doing here? What was I doing until now? Was I wasting time? Was I learning? Was I practicing? Was I trying? Was I fighting? Was I struggling? Or is this what I want to do from now on? And then you say, what do I want to do from now on in relation to my passion, to my talent, to my career? And then finally, where am I going with this? The third question. Okay, if I continue as I'm doing now, where is this going to end? You have to answer this question, because if you don't, you will never feel responsible for the consequences that will come. So, for example, if I put my hand on a hot stove, it is going to lead to burns and injury, and maybe eventually to hospital. So if you know that you are doing something has a specific ending, you have to become aware of it and say, okay, if I'm in a relationship where I'm not feeling loved, where is this going? And it will become obvious to you where it's going to hell. Okay. You will feel miserable eventually and angry and dissatisfied, and it will become worse. So when you have answered, where is this? Where am I going with how it was until now? Then you can answer, where do I want to be going with this? Where do I want to end up with my career, with my passion, with my talents, with whatever? So now when you have answered these three questions, you have provoked quite a, um, a move in you, in your psyche. And questions always work on your subconscious. So questions will provoke the deepest truths to come up because you are not answering, you are asking the question, the answers come out of you. You are becoming aware of the answers just by asking the question. So I'm not asking you to think hard. No, I'm asking you, ask the question, feel the answer. It will come and you will write maybe 10, 20 answers to each of those questions. So after that, I would and it's not like one leads to another. It's two different things that you can do. The other that I can give in this very short time as a key is my method that I teach to the world for 14 years already of allowing. In Croatian we call it DOP, which feels like you're on drugs. Because it's from the three letters of DOP in Croatian, allow and let go and surrender. Um, and these three letters of my method of alo truly um, they relax you into the ability to live exactly what Sabio said when he was introducing himself, that he finds himself playing in the Sydney Opera House. He finds himself playing in the Sydney Opera House without struggling to achieve it, without intending to achieve it, without, fighting to be there, to suppress other people and go over them so that he can be there. No, he finds himself there. And allowing is truly like a magical stick, I call it, a magical stick, where you, for example, you have a dream, you have a passion. Your mind will tell you, but you don't have enough knowledge, money, time, resources, space, whatever. You don't have enough to achieve that passion, to achieve that dream. And it kills you before you have started. It's like you don't even start the trip, you don't leave the house. So I don't do that to myself. What I do is I act on my highest passion to the best of my ability. And this Bashar, this guy who channels this, yeah, um, they say the same thing. Act your passion to the highest of your ability. So, for example, tomorrow I'm going to another continent because my passion drove me immediately to make a decision. Well, not immediately. I had a energetic, let's say, clearing to be sure that this is my passion, not the ego. And when I went through emotional state, emotional process, with some tears, with sadness, with anger, with all of it that was coming out, suddenly I was able to say, yes, this is my passion and I'm acting upon it. So how do I come there? How does allowing ALO, allow, let go, and hand over or surrender, how does it help me? Well, you see, when something comes my way, I do everything I can not to resist and not to insist, because these two things are the same. Insisting and resisting means that this will persist. Insistence leads to persistence, and resistance leads to persistence. So it will persist. If I'm resisting emotions, they will persist. I don't want to resist. So I allow them to be. What does it mean? When I allow, I acknowledge their existence. I acknowledge they're there. And and in this way, I'm admitting the truth. I'm not running away. So today, when I needed help, I really Sabio was here in a meditation. I went by a few times, and after 10 minutes, I couldn't wait anymore. And I said, and he opened his eyes, and I said, I need help. Because I have allowed to feel all of this. I have allowed that this is present. I'm not suppressing it. I'm not denying it. I'm not saying, I'm a spiritual teacher. I should be able to deal with this on my own. I'm so high that I shouldn't even feel like this. So imagine that if you have an idea of yourself that you're so elevated, so something, that God forbid that you feel something humans would feel, you would not allow this to come out. But I allow. I'm very happy to allow it, to admit it. And if it is too much to deal with, then I call somebody. And I happen to have a therapist in the room. So I would be stupid not to say, I need help. Man, can you help me? And then he spent another hour with me doing the work. So allowing puts you in a state where you are not rejecting it, you are not running away, you are admitting it is there. The same is with your passion. You need to allow yourself, and you say, I allow myself to express this passion. I allow myself to feel and live the experiences, the consequences of this passion. I allow myself to enter into this passion because nobody is preventing you except you. You need to allow to yourself. I allow myself to feel. I allow myself to walk. I allow myself to enter. I allow myself to be inspired, to follow this. Even if I will be wrong, I will then somehow polish my these perceptions to know when it's right, when it's wrong. But I can't know in advance. I need to enter into it and test it in a way, live it. And then when you have done that, you need to, second, let go. Let go of what? Let go of struggling. Let go of your stupid ideas that you can't do it, that is difficult, that is impossible, that you don't have money, that is blah, 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 blah. Let go of this emotional charge because you will get afraid. Once you start your following your passion, you are going to go into the unknown. One teacher said, how do you know you're on the right path? Because you don't see it. You don't see the path. When you follow your passion, it is going into the unknown and it will scare you. It will scare your mind. It will scare the ego. Keep breathing. What we did at the beginning, let go. Let go. Let go of this. Let go of your ideas, of your expectations. Let go of the expectations. Because you have no clue how it's going to turn out. Because passion will show you something that is possible to comprehend, that is very close to you, but not the ultimate destination. Just like, for example, if I'm driving from Barcelona to Madrid, it's not going to tell me in the center of Barcelona the sign to Madrid. It will tell me all exits of the town. They have it like that, todas direcciones in Spain. So you follow all the exits of the city. Once you get to all the exits, there it tells you, Valencia, Madrid, Zaragoza, Girona, then you sort of take it. But at the beginning, life only says, exit the city, exit the city. This is the passion. Follow the passion. So let go of expectation and most of all, let go of control. You feel the control. Exhale it. Keep telling yourself, I'm letting go. I can't control anything. I'm relaxing into this. And finally, surrender. Surrender would be or handing over, because in Croatian is something that you give to somebody. And I like to say, well, you give it to God. You give it to the most intelligent, not to some idiot. Whatever is in you, you give it, hand it over to the one who knows, not to some ignorant, to the one who knows. And the one who knows will take you to Sydney Opera House. the one who knows, will put me in London on the stage in the most prestigious theater, which was one of my dreams of life. Never struggled to do it. I never struggled, never fought for it. I never did anything to put myself on the stage. And then last year, Manuel Lignan says, Ivan, you're performing with me on the stage for 45 minutes. I mean, like we were together.
Yeah.
How is this?
Yes, but also I want to add
Please.
on it. Uh, from my perspective, I'm a classically trained classical percussionist, and playing Sydney Opera House, I played all the instruments which I don't know how to play, really. That was funny. That was even more surprising because it wasn't those instruments, they were not my main instruments. So I was playing trumpet, which I'm not a trumpet player, like professional trumpet player. So that was even more fascinating. Like, how come I'm here? I barely, like, I can play a little bit, but not on
But
the
when you
level.
were given the opportunity, you allowed yourself to accept it.
Oh yeah. I
You
mean,
see?
it was done. I didn't even. I was like, okay.
So to summarize a little bit what we have gone so far is going through those questions. You want to discover what is your passion, what is your path, what is the talent, and you don't have to think much. Talents you were born with, and they're there for you as a sign of your path. Okay, I don't know how to play instruments, so I'm not pretending I'm gonna be a concert player, and I don't have to even think if that is my path. It's not. So far, it has not been. Maybe it will be in the future, but so far it's not. So I'm not even worried about it. I'm just following what I can do. Well, I talk quite well. So somehow life shows you in a way, there you go. Then, when you have answered those questions and you have to start going the path, I suggest this alo, which is a connection to the highest expression, to the highest intelligence that acts. It is precisely what, let's say, Krishna taught Arjuna, not to be preoccupied with the fruits of his actions, simply to follow whatever comes to be done. And this allowing, letting go, and surrendering truly puts you in the flow, because the life as a river, for example, a river is already present in the source, on the way, and in the ocean. So it has already reached the ocean. You don't need to teach a river how to come to the sea. Your life has already come to where it is going, because, as we have said many times, time is not linear. So all the moments of your life are now, and you have already reached all your goals, all your successes. There is no need for struggle. There is no need for fighting. There is need for allowing. And I read 2 nights or a few nights ago in a book that inspired me, and I told you yesterday, what you seek is seeking you. What you seek is seeking you. The success you seek is seeking you. It is already there. And when you allow and when you let go, you're actually not running around like a crazy, chicken without head. You are stable so that the success can find you. Otherwise, if you're never in the same place, you're running on all these little projects everywhere around, success doesn't find you, because he's like, oh, I keep looking here, he's not there. I look there, he's not there, because you're all the time moving. Stand still in your power. Allow, let go, surrender. And success will find you, because it is looking for you. So this would be the summary for this. Now, with your energetic knowledge, what else can they practically do?
Yes, so now I can
Please.
talk about first. Now I'm putting the hat of psychosensory kind of practitioner. Um, and so psychosensory means, there's a sensory input plus where we activate the body, that we are connecting directly with the physical reality, and also we are connecting with the mind and let's say the mind, yeah, in this case. So I would like you to first start, while we're gonna explore this, I would like to ask you to start from the state. There's a state. We can work with states to start with. It's a state of what if. What if? In order to allow for something, there are few conditions from my perspective. First is this condition of there's a question, am I safe? And this question is first asked by the amygdala, by the little organ in the brain, which is responsible for relationship and survival of the body. And so this amygdala, 24/7, and actually from the very beginning, when it's formed in the fetus, uh, starts recording uh, all the sensory input 24/7. And in order to protect the body, yes, to protect you, to protect the vessel, to protect the vessel of our of ourselves, let's say. So, am I safe? That's the first question. That's the first question. And in order to move to allowing, so actually, that's the first criteria we have. Um, because, if I look around, move around, this amygdala is scanning all the space. And if there's a tiger, or let's say the example would be, if I see the stick, the amygdala is asking, is that snake or stick? Right? So we need to first calm down this amygdala, and which means be in a relatively safe space with our body. So we put in a safe space our body. It's like a kind of very simple logical observation in order to make any decision. And so another question the amygdala ask is will I survive? Yes. So am I safe? Will I survive? And now, if we put ourselves, now we need to remember the body doesn't know the difference between imagination and real scenario, really. So I'm also the laughter yoga practitioner, and I do a lot of laughter workshops, and I use a lot of laughter in my work. So the body really doesn't know if you're faking laughter or not. In this case, we can enter this space which we call what if. This is the first step, because then we are opening the space for possibilities. Yes. So if I say, okay, I want to allow for my passion to go to be unfolded, or to be realized or manifested, uh, then the good step would be, if we're still not in this state, what if? What if I am capable to do this? What if this is safe? What if um, I am safe doing this? Because from my perspective, really, this safety is the number one cause why we are not proceeding with our life the way we want. Can you imagine all restrictions we have in life? Everyone is saying, no, don't do this. Be careful because it's hot. From very beginning, we have these messages all the time being in fear. So all the time being programmed that nothing here is safe. So now we say, okay, now we need to allow for unknown to, to trust unknown. Yes, it is possible, but from my perspective, the step would be, okay, what if it's possible that I can allow to go for unknown? What if I can I can start living in the space what if. Yes. So then I put the what if state, and then um, we are being conditioned again. This is like so many conditions, as we know, uh, unfortunately. But I would start from this very practical way. Start living, giving ourselves permission to say, what if I can do this? What if I can not do it, right? As well. So, or what if this is possible, or what if this is not possible? So we are we becoming very flexible in our mind. When we are here more flexible, then the body and amygdala is like, oh, more relaxed, because there's not just this and this, or never do this, never stops everything, every exploration. I never do this, right? So yeah, so again, uh, checking and putting ourselves in a safe space, and this practically, I would I would like to like we started at the beginning,
Mm.
you know, straight away, look what happens. So let's say I say, oh, I feel so calm. I feel so good today. And the body says, oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I feel calm. And then look what happens when I say, I'm angry. I'm angry. I'm so angry. Yes, and the body says, but where are you angry? You give me completely different signal. The signal is actually uncomfortable, right? So here you cannot go wrong with that. So this that would be, oh, what if? So that would be, this kind of choreography we can start doing. What if I can actually allow myself to feel safe?
Ah.
Yeah.
So while you are putting the thoughts that are not usual for you,
Yes.
you are
You doing
making the
this.
body and
Yes.
amygdala feel safe.
Safe.
That
Yes.
when you say this, and this really is very crucial because
Mm.
success usually doesn't come because there is something in us magnetized against it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
this, when you're like, okay, I open myself to success, I allow myself to feel success,
Yes.
it feels
Yes.
safe.
It feels safe for the body. And
Okay.
then we are bypassing the strongest gate, which is
Mm,
the physical body. And I
mm,
just want to say that I'm also trained at the end of life doula. So I work with people during the end of life. And this is very powerful practice, and actually the library of knowledge about human being. And this practice also, what I learned, one of the most important thing is that um, the question is, what is the root of fear? I was asking myself, what is the root of fear? And of course, we can say, oh, there's so many fears, fear of survival and many things. Uh, but uh, from like to go straight to the point, I would say the root of fear is really about losing the physical body. It's not fear of dying, what's gonna happen after. The one who is the most scared is this ego, this identity which holds this, and because it doesn't know what is without this. It's another symbol of cosmic amygdala. So without the body, um, me, I'm the self, right? But with the body, everything is about this body. Look, without this body, we cannot even communicate
mm,
here and now. We are talking about this reality,
mm,
not going to other realms. Let's say this reality. So if we think that, if we know that Every fear, little one, can be tracked to this point, that there will be point, and we know we cannot avoid it. That will happen one day, that we lose the body, and that's the fear. And so that's what the amygdala is it goes after, to protect the body. So all the strategies
Mm.
it will invent all the strategies, and it will tell us this, that what it means to be safe. Safe also means being in hostile environment, domestic violence. That's safe because that's the only thing I know. Being rejected all the time, it's safe. It doesn't only mean that uh, good things, is that the body is safe or I'm relaxed. No, when I'm stressed.
It is safe in what it recognizes, what
Yes,
is common.
yes, yes, yes. So whatever we go out of um, the tape recorded, the whole library of recordings the amygdala has, then that's what is not safe.
Ah, the new for amygdala is not safe.
The new is not safe at all,
Okay.
uh, because and the
So if you're used to failure, success is like not
yes,
safe.
yes. So but now,
Okay.
how to get out of
Mm.
it? How to
Yes,
get out of
please.
it? Yes. So I've started practicing this a while ago, and this is life changing. So first, now is all about the transforming the no and yes, and
Mm-hmm.
first learning how to say no.
Mm.
That for me was life game changer, game
Mm.
changer. Um, because there are many form we are being taught that only saying yes is good. Like that, when we good boy, good girl, when you obey. When we say yes, I'm not saying the yes is wrong thing. Yes, because there's a without yes, there's no harmony. But ask yourself, since you weren't born, um, how easy is it to you for you to say no? Even if you, but for example, the say no when you don't need to say no, but you can, you say no anyway. Even this no. So a little bit of the psychology of saying about no, saying no. At the beginning, when we are little, we obviously are dependent of our guides, yeah, parents, whatever, family. Then from 7 till I think 14, 13, we are starting testing and starting saying no.
Mm.
And we are going against everything because we want to ex be full as a being. So we want to be able to say no. But usually what happens, no one hears this no. No one hears my no as a child. Because what are you saying, little child? You're just child. No, so no one hears this no. And then we are being, through this, we learn that no one hears us. We are not worthy to be here because we are not included. My word, my opinion, my what I feel doesn't matter. So first we're going through this phase. Then when we after 14, we learn that we say yes to everything. So as you know, teenagers, we go crazy. Yeah, usually we say yes to everything, and because we're going to the opposite direction. And usually we not coming back to conscious no and conscious yes. We stay saying yes to everything, subconsciously and consciously. And this is all the archetypes, like a victim archetype, and persecutor and savior. This all plays together. So if we realize this, then there's a time to consciously start saying no. and this is super difficult. This is super difficult, but this
Don't
is
say it's
crucial.
difficult.
Yes, it's as a practice. It's as a practice. That was very difficult for me,
Okay.
but the thing is that it's with the practice becomes easy, and it becomes easier and easier. But we need to kind of marinate ourselves in this. What if I can say no? What if? What if saying no is not I am bad person? Because that's what is imposed. That's what we need to overcome.
So how can they practice this?
Practice is
Yes.
simple. Well, I would start from this. So first, what do you use to say no? Or yes, yes. We say no, yes using the voice, and say no using the voice. And from my practice, I would just give you this example to practice. So first, if you stand against the wall, and when you in your or on your own push the
You can
wall,
even do it now if
you
you're
can
there.
even do it now
If
if
you
you
have
would
a
like to,
wall and you hear,
or push something, or if you have a towel or a scarf or something, or like even like this, that you are giving signal to the body. No, no, no is very powerful. It's much more powerful and precise than saying yes. It's much than yeah. So we want to push, because the wall is actually a good
it's
example,
good to push the wall.
to push, or imaginary wall, but like something, when you say no, you're pushing something away. No, 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 no. And you add the signal. It's like a muscle memory. Muscle memory. No, 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 no. And you see, like, no, no. It's this movement. But imagine you pushing the wall. But then, uh, if you use this voice, no, 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 then you will not feel the power of it. And this is also about, now we are talking about activating the voice and the center here, and how we do this. So um, imagine that you are, like, I just want to ask you, just only imagine this, that you are the samurai, and you know how samurai speak. Hey, hey, no, huh? No. I'm sorry, it might be too loud, but this is, I would like you to pretend that. Pretend that you are the samurai. Oh, oi! And you want to push, because you want to start feeling this energy behind no. This practice, what I use also during my courses, it's called, I use this shout kiai, kiai. So where in martial arts we use kiai. Ki means energy, I it means will, and unite, to unite. So when we say kiai, so we send energy, electricity through the voice, like this, and we unite this will, and it's all like a sword. So when you say no, for the practice, right? For this practice, so you cut like with the sword. No, no, no. It's a certain no, firm no, and then use the voice. So that I would start with this, because we are need to the whole body needs to feel it, you know. And one more tip I would add, this louder voice, what is caused by, it's caused by the muscles. So the muscles
Of the belly.
of the belly. So this what causes this strength. So yeah. So first, because it's a embodied no, and then the whole body gets this.
To what things should they say no?
Okay.
uh, we are running at the end
Yes.
of the webinar, but I want okay, if they do need to say no, especially to what is blocking success, what is it that we have to say no to?
This is something I would like to connect what you said with the highest values. So this is also necessary to know, you see, to know, no, yeah. English is interesting. To know how to say no to what to say no. And this thing would be everything which is not your highest value, which is not you. So is this the question? That's the question. What are you following which is not your the highest value, not even highest value or more higher. It's about who the highest value. That's your only guide. It's to know, and knowing this, we need to kind of investigate what is the highest value and act on it, saying no to things which are not the highest values.
Mm,
So this is a bit because we will find out a lot of interesting, a lot of things we have to say no. Yes. So that would be the first thing. I think it's the most important question. What is the highest value in life? I can
mm,
tell you from my perspective. And until I discovered this, I had a lot of questioning what to do in life, what should I do. I found my highest value is to know myself. In this one highest value is all I do. So many things. I have so many things. Through this knowing what is the highest value, I allow myself to do everything. It's a paradox a little bit. Only one thing brings 1,000 things. And I'm at peace because I I can do this, I can do this. And before was, I do this and this and this, and people don't get it, but this is like how I'm
mm,
operating. I'm too much.
mm,
But now I'm saying, no, I only want to know myself.
mm,
That's it. I close the whole discussions with my mind. This is how I get know myself.
mm.
Knowing this, what
Okay.
is not myself. No, what I now need to say no to is
Mm.
what is not supporting knowing myself.
This reminds me of um, Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, iPhone, and all the other. Um, he said that for him, the most important was to be able to say no, but not to the things you don't like,
Mm,
not to the things that obviously are not yours, but to million of ideas that come from the mind,
mm,
saying no to everything that is superficial and actually that is leading you away from being centered in your path.
mm,
So he said that was so difficult for me because he was very creative guy, lot of ideas. And he said, I had to say no to 99% of everything I thought we should do
yeah,
and remain filter to one.
mm,
Um, and this helped me as well because I don't have maybe as many ideas as he is,
mm,
but
mm,
but I can get dispersed in the thing that can be done. And the past year has really been like in a way coming back. Okay, what do I have to say no to?
mm,
What do I have to say no to?
mm,
Um, I did miss a little push
mm,
myself.
mm,
I think I will use this wall,
mm,
not as a, metaphorically.
mm.
I will truly use the
Yes.
wall when I need to say no or when I see myself falling into the trap of saying yes to many different
Mm,
things and I miscarriage. Yeah,
mm,
no,
mm.
no, to exercise.
Yes. What there's another step which I also what is coming when we embody this, but we need to really like know this. We need to know how to say no. But then when we are aligned with this again with this highest value, the highest value, then we start balancing everything, and then we find ourselves that we don't need to actually say anything, and we'll
Mm,
just be like, I don't need to say yes and no really. And is this a kind of thing? What would you like to have? Like super intense 1 month a year when you completely enjoying life, and 11 months miserable, or nothing is happening, or something where you are in the center, you are happy, healthy, you have everything. A little, you are not sad, you are not super happy, but you are in between. But 12 years, 12 months a year.
mm,
I choose this. I like stability, and
mm,
this gives you stability, because that will there's the
mm,
um, universal principle of balance. Everything wants to be balanced.
mm,
Allowing for that will bring balance. Just to
mm.
allow for that. And
Thank you,
yeah.
Sabio. Very, very good.
Mm,
I think we have spoken about a lot. You will receive the recording of this, so you can watch it again. I think it might need some repetition. I'm very grateful that we had this opportunity. I love working with Sabio, and I was so grateful that he came to this retreat here in Spain, and he gifted our students here with amazing sessions. Um, it inspired me to look for his availabilities as well. Those of you who are coming in January for the Croatian speaking retreat, potentially we will see if he can make it. I would love that he is in Varkala in India with us. Um, for those who can't be in January, if you are available in November, from the 1st of November for 10 days, Sabio and I will be in our retreat center in Varkala in India, doing 10 days of intensive work with voice, with dancing, with liberating all these blocks to success. Um, in parallel, of course, the main thing to know yourself,
mm,
uh, which is my greatest passion, and
mm,
it seems yours as well.
mm,
Using different tools. There are some people from Croatia already applied, and several from Spain. So I think the group will grow. It will be beautiful, and I'm very happy to welcome all of you throughout this winter and autumn in India. Um, and also we have a retreat in October in Croatia, in Croatian language. So maybe it's not appropriate for everyone. Um, Sabio, do you have some final closing words?
closing words. Um, yes. Well, so again, I would like to keep like with the subject, but are you asking to about the retreat?
No, just to close
To close.
the today's webinar.
Yeah, I would really encourage to anchor this what if state. This is such a freedom, and this is the door, open door to any decisions, any choices. Um, so that's my that would be something which is coming to me now, and I think it's a living space. This is not something we just apply when we meditate. It could be all the time. What if? Oh, what if that? What if I can go? What if I can do this? Well, and it's just, it's like so inviting. But yeah, so at the same time, being and knowing that what is your no, what is not aligned with you, and yeah, and practice. In the physical, being in the physical body, people many times would like to have a pill or something magical pill to change their life without doing anything. And remember, we need to remember this is a matter. This is hard thing.
Mm.
We need to the same way apply a bit of work. And the concept of marinating ourselves in specific state, um, just is about keeping the same thing, the same state for long enough to become it. So that's the really also actually this is actually the now I just realized something. This is the key to success. Keep the state of which you would like to be at for long enough and you will get it. There's no other way. Don't change the don't change your choice. Don't change the decision. So only like a laser, one laser, non-stop. It's like a singing ball. Ooh. The singing ball, when you play all the time, you hold the same vibration, very precise vibration, and then there's no way that this will not come to life.
Mm. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful having you.
Mm.
Looking forward to meeting you and all the best. You will receive on your emails the links and can enjoy this again.
Mm. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye.